I've got 49 minutes.
Okay, let's do it. All right, you are tuning in to, we don't have a name for it yet. Well, it's a introduction podcast with Volunteer Sports Network and Volunteer Broadcasting. I will be your host today, Hannah Sawyer. I'm the president of Volunteer Sports Network, and I am here with the Volunteer High School Athletic Director, Jeremy Bailey. Welcome in today.
And we thank you for having us on, being a part of volunteer athletics as a whole, Volunteer Sports Network, the students within broadcasting class, and just the collaboration between everybody involved in this has been a very positive experience for the student athletes, for the students that are involved, that are not athletes, that are behind the scenes producing, and all the volunteer work hours that they've put in to make the spotlight on our student athletes at Volunteer one of the premier programs, I think, in the area.
We were actually told, it's funny that you say that, because I believe it was a baseball region game where apparently there's been a few discussions and Volunteer Sports Networks came up in the midst, and I'm like, okay, we can do that. Let's set the standard. Let's do it.
We set the bar. You all set the bar pretty high for a first year production crew and kind of just getting this thing going off a whim of, I want to produce some radio game or some football games for you on the radio, and the way it's expanded very rapidly from that has been impressive, and it's just taken a lot of behind the scenes work time that nobody gets to see. People doing it for, not really the notoriety, but everybody working together, wanting to produce something for the students to shine a positive light on Volunteer as a whole and the communities.
Well, we are happy to do it. I'm actually excited because this year we announced it today that we will be slowly picking up some stuff going on at our middle schools too. And so that's going to be, I think, a big jump, but it's going to be something that I think is important to feed in and to just pour into these athletes that are coming up, the athletes that are part of our community. They're big parts of our school and the pride that we all take, whether we're a Falcon, Panther, or an Eagle. And so I'm excited. I'm very thankful for the opportunity that we were given, and I'm thankful for the work that we both do together, because I can say the same thing about you with the behind-the-scenes hours and the time put in, the administrative work, the cleaning up stadiums.
Everybody's got their little part, and wherever we can chip in, whether it be inside of our job descriptions or not. If we see something that needs to be done for the students, always at the focus. I've seen that here, and the vertical alignment between the high school and the middle school has became a big priority for us here in the athletic department to get those aligned so that it's a seamless transition for our middle school students to walk into Volunteer confident in doing interviews, doing pictures or media day, and having those skill sets that we want them to have to be able to help out on the junior varsity levels or even at the varsity levels, depending on their capabilities, and knowing the terminology and knowing how things are done a certain way, and having that all vertically aligned with the middle schools is going to be, you'll see benefits of that down the road for years to come if we can get everybody clicking together, even our youth travel programs, all the way down to, our Churchill youth programs and Sigornsville youth programs and any other programs in our area that kind of feed into Volunteer, getting on the same page with everybody. And again, for me in this job as AD, it's always been to put a positive spotlight on students that in other ways they wouldn't get that spotlight or they wouldn't get that recognition, and really build positive self-esteem for them, to give them something to believe in themselves, but believe in a team, and kind of navigate all that within the athletic program and the student side of things to make them a better person, a better community member, and somebody that can come back and give back, contribute in a positive way for years to come.
I think you nailed it, because people really underestimate how important it is for that simple of the positive attitude. Yes, you're going to win games. Yes, you're going to have bad games where you don't win. You're going to have the roller coaster, but keeping a positive, healthy attitude, having the community keep a positive, healthy attitude towards these athletes, that's all very important. And it's not just very important for the athletes, but it pours back into the school. It pours in to having a positive look towards the band, towards the cheer team, towards the SGA, every part of this school. They feed off of that and they need it. Speaking of media, we just had our media day for football, cheer, girls soccer, girls volleyball. Golf will be held at a later date. Am I missing one? I feel like I'm missing one.
Cross country boys and girls cross country program.
And that went well. That was a lot. I seen a lot of new faces, a lot of returning faces. What are you thinking coming into the fall?
Well, thankful for our media partners, our journalists that do a great job of covering Volunteer High School as a whole, no matter what it may be, within whatever aspect that they're covering. They've really featured our athletes in a positive light. It's built some pride in our school and our communities, and we like seeing those pages filled up with volunteer highlights or good things that are going on at Volunteer. The media day it's always a fun time. It's that one day where everybody gets a camera focused on them at some point in the morning, and putting kids in front of cameras is a good experience. You never know when you're going to need that. You got to have good communication skills and to be able to talk to people and put a smile on your face when maybe things are not going the right way or whatever. And it's a good way to kick off the year, and it went smooth. The kids were very attentive this morning. They were, they were focused on what the agenda was for the day, and that can carry over into what they're going to do on the field or on the court or wherever they may be out running. Is that, when you have a mindset of being focused at all times when you've got a job to do, it makes it a whole lot better. Just a lot of new things going on. You mentioned some new faces. We got some new coaches going to be joining us this fall. They've been around a little bit as far as fall sports go, but starting with cross country, we got Lauren Garrison and Daniel Green going to be taking that program over after Coach Alshai had resigned, and both of those are collegiate runners that have a lot of experience in running themselves and a lot of years on running cross country or track, and they'll both be helping out with the track program as well as the head coaches there. And Daniel is in the lineage of Jim Alshai as far as running wise goes, and they both were shown the ropes by Coach Barton, Sam there, that done a really good job, and it's just kind of cycled down to where we have those coaches standing in line waiting when we need somebody else. On the soccer side of things, Coach Mitchell McGill will be stepping in as our head coach there, and he comes from a winning tradition in Greenville soccer, and Coach Graham over there, and he's going to bring that expertise, and he's a little bit of military background where he played club soccer, and he's been out there with the girls just hounding the fundamentals of soccer and terminology, and focus has really been on with Coach Conchimba, where her physical training, she's kind of put them through the rigor this summer, and you can tell by their physical fitness that they're ready to go and they're well prepared. Joining our volleyball staff is an alumni, and we love when alumni come back and they want to coach here at Volunteer because it just means more. And that's a saying that the SEC uses, but we can apply that here when we're talking about Sydney Allen as our freshman volleyball coach, and you've seen that young, passionate energy and that they bring back. Again, Daniel Green is an alumni, and this program means so much to those younger folks that we've brought back that are alumni, and what Volunteer means to them and what Churchill and Sigornsville means. When you're inside of those communities, you get a good grasp of what the feel is of what the people want to see, and I think they're going to do a great job stepping in, even though they're inexperienced per se as a head coach or as a coach in general.
I think they'll all do well. I've had the pleasure of getting to know them over the past few months, and I'm learning tidbits and facts and getting to hear what they love about the school. For me, not graduating from Volunteer, but just being brought in by the community, and then I get to meet the coaches who are from Volunteer, and they're telling me their favorite stories, their favorite pastime, what it was like to compete here, what it was like to attend here. and it kind of reels me back into how great this community actually is. I do want to talk a little bit while we're talking about what we're planning for, what we think is going to happen this year, but I think there's a lot to hit on from last year too, because we updated our website with all of the awards, accolades, accomplishments. There was a lot that happened last year.
There was a lot, and as the spring is always so busy. Total programs, we have 14 girls varsity programs and 14 varsity boys programs right now at Volunteer that we offer, and 8 of those, 7 or 8 of those are in the spring. And a lot of times the spring gets lost and recognitions because it's at the end of the school year. The state championships, if you qualify, is usually the week of graduation. I know we had track down there this year, and I think they ran Tuesday, made it back Wednesday, graduation practice Thursday morning, and then they were graduating and done with volunteer on Saturday. So there wasn't a lot of time in the spring to reflect and kind of get those acknowledgments out there. But again, our track program was successful. We got 2 state champions added to their resume at Volunteer High School with J.C. Begley and Roman Borghetti Metz doing the 800 double sweep. J.C., phenomenal multi-sport athlete, looking at the sports that she competed in, cross-country and basketball and track and field. You don't typically see the success that she had with that middle sport being in there, and she was commended for that across the entire state by journalists and reporters on the rare feat that she was able to accomplish by being an all-state cross-country runner, being an all-district, all-conference region tournament, all-region tournament player in basketball, and then being able to transition back out of that sport into running, where she was all-state multiple times and, now state champion in the 800 meter. Roman decided that he was just going to do the running, and he was able to pull off the feat in the 800 meters as well. And Roman was a great basketball player and a pretty good football player from what I understand in middle schools. And you always like to keep those kids and hope that they'll be multi-sport athletes for you, but I understand, where their dreams are and where their goals are and where Roman's is within the sport of running, and he wants to do that to the best of his ability. So depending on the athlete, you really can you can make it work, and JC has proven that playing as many sports as you can was a benefit to her. Also in the spring, we had the baseball team make it to the region tournament. They got on a great run there. They had several players sign with colleges off of that run. Coach Peterson, and got Coach of the Year this year in the respective Twin Lakes Conference. Very close to being at the top of the Twin Lakes Conference regular season. Got hot in the district tournament and had some success there, and then made a great run in the region tournament. So we're very proud of them, and I think that just builds momentum going into the off season. You saw a lot of interest in those sports at our camps and different things, and all those programs have historically been very successful, especially our track program, where 7 of the 8 state champions at Volunteer are within that program. So
I think let's just talk about it. They're going to get me for this one. The stories that come from both JC and Roman state champions, though, is probably one of the most favorite stories that I'll have leaving here when I do 35 plus years from now, because I think it really attests to the kind of kids that they are and the kind of work that just shows, because they're only 2 of the many kids that we have that same kind of work ethic and passion for what they do. You were actually down there, so you got to witness it firsthand.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of strategizing going on, and both of those are really unique in their own personalities. And JC's a lot more like myself, where she is she likes to do things a certain way every time that she does them, and she was almost late getting to the track because she wanted to stay and rest and stay in the hotel a little bit longer than everybody else, just to stay out of the sun and stay hydrated. And then traffic got crazy, and we were calling each other. And my wife was with me, and she actually called, "Hey, are you all there?" Because the meet was getting ahead. And Roman's just kind of goes with the flow, and he was there supporting his teammates and just that comedian type energy that he brings. But down there to see their focus, and both of them went out leading the race from the gun, and that's atypical that especially an underclassman in Roman, or anyone really, that can take it from the gun and then gap the field in the 800 meter, and actually they both went away with it, winning pretty handedly. And then of course the stories in between this and that. Roman, the cicada, swallowing the cicada, and then he just exhausted himself running there, and wakes up, and they've done presented the champion trophy, which that part of it I wasn't happy about. They handed out.
They were busy. I watched on camera, and they had a purpose that day. It was insane.
And typically, that's not been the case when we've been down there. They've taken their time with it, and they gotten behind at other times, and so we were running ahead that day, and people were just scrambling. And then, of course, in that moment, it provides an opportunity for Jordan Weiniger-Collis to step up and run on the 4x400 relay team, which he didn't expect to do after doing the hurdles. And so it gave another student athlete an opportunity on that big stage to go out and compete. And you just saw one thing about track, and it's across the board, across the entire state, is that it's competitive in nature, but the sportsmanship surrounding track and field, where everybody supports the other team, no matter if they are in a different jersey. You could just see a lot of these female runners in this area, specifically in their region, and now at the state level had gotten to know the JC, and to see that culmination, that elation from not only volunteer fans and perspectives and coaches, but seeing other people across the state who had gotten to know her over the last 4 years, celebrating with her, congratulating her, Signal Mountains coach, premier running program, just to come over and volunteer, on that stage has earned the respect. And that says a lot about our student athletes, that they go out and they work hard. People know Roman Morgetti now, and I think he's got a chance to repeat this year going back.
Oh, 110%. Even if I have to get out there and chase him in a cicada costume, I will. Don't put it past me.
Yeah.
I think this spring definitely, that was the busiest for me. That was our first. We started in the fall and kind of took care of football and got to dabble a little bit at the end of volleyball and soccer. Basketball was kind of the learning one. The spring, everybody's like, spring season is busy. Between the busy, the rain, the cold, the insane weather, there was veterans that were like, this is the craziest spring that we've ever had. I didn't even get to go watch a full track meet because every time I attended, it was horrible weather, and there was like delays. I think the one that I actually got to was that one that we were at, where was it, in Greenville, the conference champions that got delayed and they got evacuated. And I remember JC's mom telling me that she's never had, out of the entire time JC's been doing this, she's never actually had to leave a stadium. I said, I'm not coming back to one of these this year. This is what's going to follow. But it was insane. I don't think I realized until watching these kids this year how much actually goes into what they're doing. Like, they compete in the rain, they play in the rain, they practice or whatever. But actually seeing it, I was miserable. Standing there on the sideline, I am miserable. And that's been, baseball there was one baseball game, it was like 28 degrees outside. I swear, it was like right above the temperature to like not have the game. And I was bundled up, triple layers, the whole nine, and it was not fun. And you have these kids that are out here playing like it's nothing. And I'm like, you're crazy. You're borderline crazy. And they do it. Of course, they're going to, yes, it's cold, this and that. But they don't have to be out there doing it. And I think seeing this summer, too, I've got to visit football practice, girls soccer practice. and cross country practice. And coming to watch them practice, and then I've got to see band doing some of their band camps. It's been 110 degrees some of these days.
Yep.
They're just doing it. Not to mention that they'll still be doing it when school starts in a few weeks, and they've got homework and tests and preparing for college if they're seniors, keeping up with the media, keeping up with their own statistics, making sure they're being a team player. A lot of them are involved in SGA or choir or other programs that are throughout the school. Like, I don't think that some people realize truly what all these kids are doing. Like, you see that they're working hard as a student athlete, but I think me and you are in that luxury of where we get to see how much they're putting in on the other side of things too. But I've decided that I could have never played high school sports. I never could have done it. No way.
It's unique in that it builds so many things outside of the sport that they're playing themselves, and from the outside perspective, you could look at it as it's just a ball sport, or it's just this, or it's just that, and unless you've been around it for a long time, or just for any amount of time, all most people see is the entertainment side of it on the game night or the match night or the meet night. And they think, well, not a lot to that, but you student athletes that do it the right way and spend 4 years within any athletic program here at Volunteer, swim, cheer, golf, whatever it may be, your 3 major sports that's classified. You're going to be a well-rounded person, individual, just in that. I mean, and the scoreboards and all that matters, and we're all competitive and want to win. But there's a lot of wins that go unnoticed on a game night, specifically, like you said, the work ethic that's been done, the 30-plus miles that have been run the week before, the organizational skills that are being developed for, I've got this much time for homework, I've got this much time for athletics, and I got to do this much time still with family. And you see priorities starting to stack up and build. And, the priority triangle, whatever that may be, whether it be family, athletics, and then grades, or, you get to see those students manipulate those foundational skills and what they put as priorities in their life. And these kids, most of us that grew up as athletes have the big league dream, but we also know the reality of that, and they've got to have something to fall back on, and having great people skills, having a great work ethic, being on time, being able to manage a schedule, be able to organize your own schedule. Time management is the number one thing that I think is most beneficial of a student going to college, is how you manage that time and that excess time when you have it. And you're seeing that these student athletes are taking that extra time that they have that they could give to anything else in this world, and they're giving it to volunteer, the community. And that's a win in itself on a day-to-day basis, a minute-by-minute basis, second-by-second, whatever you want to break it down to, is that there's a lot of championships being won. There's a lot of state qualifications being, we got state champions. But the main thing is that everybody is winning personally, day to day. It's second by second. It's a blessing, if you want to look at it that way. From my perspective as the athletic director, it is a blessing to see when a student can utilize athletics to make themselves feel better about themselves, physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, whatever it may be that sport provides for that student athlete. And we have a lot of those. We have a lot of the diamond in the roughs that I like to call it. I don't want to name them specifically, but that, the athlete needs the sport more than the sport needed the athlete. And it's life-changing. I've said this several times over my career as a coach and AD, is that, and what if it wasn't there? What if athletics wasn't a part of that kid's life? Where would they have went, or where wouldn't they have went? And that's all we're trying to provide here at Volunteer High School is a positive outreach for any student in the school. And like I said, we've got We've got great coaches around them. We got great people in the community that are supporting and pushing for them, and we got great mentors within our staff here at Volunteer that are not coaches that still support from afar and looking at it from the outside in. And that's not to put our student athletes on a pedestal above anybody else, but you are multiversed in all things life when you participate in athletics at a school.
Oh, 110%. You talked about what these athletes can see when they come here. What are the opportunities that we have this year? I mean, cross country is still looking for a few girls. I know that Coach Hill with wrestling is trying to build up his wrestling program, especially when it comes to girls wrestling. There's a lot that people can still get involved in. Of course, you've got Coach Whalen and his swim program that's still building year by year. Coach Allen with our new cheer program and being able to offer varsity and junior varsity. There's a lot.
There's a lot of opportunities, and a lot of these opportunities are programs where you just got to show that you're willing to work and put in the work, and you got the opportunity to be on a team. There are some that are, we have tryouts and we have to limit the number of team members that can participate just due to numbers and logistics wise. And it's just talking about fall sports coming up. Volleyball and cheer have had their tryouts, and that's kind of set for this year. But there is some excitement around the cheer program, and we appreciate everything that's been the foundation that's been laid, and that's afforded the opportunity now to expand. And we've offered a JV cheerleading program this year to get more numbers out in that, to be able to keep kids within the cheer program. And we see a varsity program there, and we actually have 3 coaches in the sport of cheer this year that's going to be helping out, and that they're out there working and doing just as many hours as any of these other groups. And so anybody that was interested in cheer, maybe next year be looking at that, because there is a junior varsity program where we've got girls on there that's first year cheerleaders this year, first time ever, and we have some girls on there with 2-3 years experience. So it is an opportunity to get involved in something that you've never been a part of. For the fall sports, football right now, we would love to see our numbers climb. That's an emphasis with the new staff, having Coach Castle as an interim, and the old ball coach, Coach Jackie Strickler, has come back out and volunteered his services there, and has come back out on their football staff. I remember Jackie from playing against him, but just having a veteran leadership like that, and just to build these young men positively is what we wanted. And if you're out there listening and want to play football, those opportunities are going to stay open till the 29th, which is the first official practice day in pads. Just due to acclimation and different things like that, next week we need to get you out no later than the 29th if you want to play football for this year. Cross country at any time, boys or girls, you're welcome to join the team. Typically you just start where you're at with running. You may not be a 5-mile runner from day one, but we got a young man that's a senior now that day one, his couple years ago when he started, he probably would have never thought he would have been one of our top 5 cross country runners, but he's worked his butt off, and he stayed with the program and been a part of a program that's brought him in like family, and he'll be in our top 5 probably as a qualifier for state championship this year. And those are the moments where it just makes you so happy as a coach or an athletic director to see that development, and that it just took some time. And if that's you and you're freshman, sophomore, wherever you may be out there, and you think you can't run, just change that around to I can run. Get out here and start running with these kids. And you may walk the first few days, and that's what a lot of people don't know unless you actually go to a cross-country practice, is that, yes, there is walking allowed, initially. And when you start, you're not going to be distance runner, extraordinaire, but it's a place to start, and everybody has to start somewhere. So girls and boys cross country, at any point in this year, really. Anybody wants to start running, we would love to have you out there and participate in those two programs.
I like that whenever he said I got to be there for the meeting that he had to start off their year and talk about a few things, and he was telling people, try to recruit, see if you've got some friends interested, wanted to run or whatever, and he was like, I'll sit with you wherever you are. If you're looking to become a state champion and to really push yourself, he said, I'll meet you there. He said, if you're just looking to learn how to run better and maybe get in some shape or feel a little bit better about yourself, he said, I'll meet you there too. And I think that's a really good attitude for him to have, especially as a first-year head coach, of being open to anybody that's willing to come in. And I think a lot of people expect running, not my thing, and I can say that if I was a student, I would probably consider running for them just because they've set that open space of they'll meet you wherever you're at, and I think it can make a lot of our students comfortable when it comes to their career in running if they see fit.
It is a program where you can take the time to be developed in the sport, and most of the time your best runners are juniors and seniors. By the time they're that year, they've chiseled their times down to whatever it may be nationally, and that's what you're competing against. And cross country is yourself, really. Each day you can go out and get a PR, as they call it, a personal record, and that's an accomplishment. Every day that you go up by a second, half, whatever it may be, you've accomplished more than you did yesterday. And a lot of people like that about cross country, is that it is an individual sport per se, and you got a clock giving you the statistics. It's not somebody else looking at stats and here they are. You know where you're at immediately, and a lot of the runners say that that's one of the big things they like about it. They know exactly where they are. They know where they are against national competition at all time. You can go look this stuff up, and they can see success in everything that they do daily, and it builds confidence. Anytime you can praise and praise and praise and see that you're doing something that's working, it makes it a lot better, a lot more enjoyable to be a part of, and that's the biggest thing you can see. And cross country is a team. A lot of people see it as, I'm not the fastest runner. You don't have to be the fastest runner, really. That fifth person, and we've seen it come all the way down to the sixth runner last year on a tie break. Cross country, you take the top five fastest times on your team, and all that comes into a score of points based on where you placed. And it's just as important for that fifth place runner to run their best time as it is the first place runner that's going to be the quote unquote champion at the beginning. And really, we need to keep the girls program stable. We had a big senior class last year, and a lot of this stuff is just having enough to field that 5-person team and having 5 runners that can cross the finish line with a time to get us advanced further. I will say, speaking on that, if you're still on the line about joining cross country, it is the only program in the entire region and the only school that has qualified both the boys and the girls cross country teams to the state championship all of the last 3 years. No other school in our area, and Region 1, Region 2 has qualified the boys and the girls cross country teams to the state championships.
They'll do it again this year too, I have no doubt.
We have a great opportunity to make it 4 in a row, quad-peat, whatever you would want to call that. But a lot of people don't really know what a state championship is, and there's competition to be had, but there's also some fun time. You're traveling to Murfreesboro or Middle Tennessee, northern Nashville area, and there's team building, activities there. There's games. There's going out to dinner, and there's a lot of different things there that you can get involved in and be a part of. That's what I remembered most about athletics, was those moments where I traveled somewhere and there was a great highlight, or in the regular season there was a one just out of this world moment I couldn't tell you the scores or most of the games I ever played in, or the results, or where we done this and that. But I can remember the hotel, the hotel nights and the dinners out with my teammates, and just the family that we built, or that our families built together by just being together in a setting like that.
Absolutely. Speaking of state champions, obviously to get there you've got to work your way up. You've got district, you've got region, and you've got sectional champions. And we talk about the success of last year, and I don't think I even realized this until we were sitting here talking about it before this podcast. And for district championships, so actually winning it all for their district, we had girls basketball, girls volleyball, cross country for both the boys and girls, and then track for both the boys and girls. Region champions of volleyball girls, and then we had baseball and volleyball qualify for regions, and then volleyball with the sectional champions. That's crazy. Let's take a second. Let's use that. We'll talk about volleyball, because I would be a liar if I didn't sit here and say how excited I am to watch volleyball on the court this year, because getting introduced to it last year was probably one of the best things that's ever happened to me. That is electric.
And I think that's kind of thinking back to the Volunteer Sports Network's first year. One thing that stands out to me is getting you all involved in that volleyball state tournament run, whether it be district tournament, region tournament, hosting that sub-state game where you all were live. And I think that started the outreach and the branching. You would say your roots started to grow in other sports probably around that time. And I saw the excitement. And that's another sport that just kind of, I don't know, I would like to see a football-sized crowd at every sporting event we have. And I know that's not feasible, but then I asked, why not? Because, like you said, the energy within that program, and especially at the state level, we had Valor Prep down, I think, maybe by 8 set points in that second set, and was rolling, and then they walk in with their entire, I think it was probably their entire student body. And it changed the whole dynamic of the tournament atmosphere of that game, and then it propelled Valor to a state runner-up finish. And I think, if you go back and talk to folks down there that witnessed that and felt that energy, it was the student body getting behind it and the energy there. But there is positive energy building. Can't replace Veda Barton. Don't even try it. We're not going to try to do that. The likes of Veda Barton is special, and
you're not even gonna be close to it.
Nowhere
not with
near.
That girl.
And talking to Coach Barton a little bit about it, it was just that unspoken leadership on the court when you lose a player like that is confident in herself. She's been raised confident, through her parents, and she studied the game. She done all the things she was supposed to off the court, watching film, working on her weaknesses, and continuing to strengthen her strengths. But there's a lot of pieces back this year, and I know the energy has stayed very high from last year's run, and everybody expects us to get back, and that's the goal there within the district, is to take that team back to Murfreesboro and make a bigger run next year.
Oh, I think we definitely could do it. And I think you're 100% right with the crowd, because I can only imagine, and honestly, even with I don't want to call it a little crowd, because the crowds that I was seeing in volleyball, they could be very bigger, but they were way bigger than actually what I expected coming in, never attending a volleyball game in my life. I have no recollection of it except for to practice and learn to cover it. And the parents and the fans and the students and stuff that were there, that place was on fire. If we could get the size crowds coming out to the games like for volleyball like that, or even for soccer, and getting the same kind of energy, it's amazing how that could propel all of our sports, not just volleyball or not just football. If we were able to apply that across the board, I think it's so important for these athletes to see us rooting them on, even if they're down a few sets, or even if they're down a few goals, or taking that and still pushing them and giving them that energy. Because like you said, with Valor Prep, they were down technically they were losing, and as much as everybody doesn't like to use that word, that's what they were. And their team, their crowd, their students was still backing them. They still had their back. It's easy to cheer them on whenever they're winning. If they're behind a little bit, can you still be out there doing it? And I know that's a hard question to ask, but I think it's an important one. And I've really got to see that. I've covered personally softball some, baseball some, both girls and boys volleyball. I've attended a track meet. I covered boys soccer last year. I covered all basketball games. Of course, we were a football. I went to a swim meet. I went to tennis meets. I tried to make it out to as much as possible to really see what was out there. And I think that there's a lot of improvement that can be done to bring that kind of energy to all of our athletes across the board. But there is nothing like a crowd like that in a game like volleyball. I have learned that. But I think when you have that, because let's also use that and look at basketball. That basketball night, what was it? Was it our region game? Was it our subs? The one that we had here right at the end. It was our last home game for the girls. It was packed.
We hosted first night of region against Unicoi.
Packed in this place. I mean, it was insane. There was alumni that hadn't been here in years. There was star alumni. There was, I believe that was the game where there was a few previous coaches that had came and visited. It was electric energy throughout the entire thing. And once again, I do think that it can be nervous at times for the players to look out and see that. But when they're in it, I truly think that when they're in it and they just know that they have all these people that is backing them no matter what, that they feed off of it. You talked a little bit about Veda, and I think it's important too. We're talking about multi-sport athletes and some of these, and she is another one of ours. I didn't get the pleasure of watching her play softball this year, unfortunately, but I did get to watch her with volleyball and basketball. Man, that girl's an athlete.
She was, and she's still going to be a big part of what volunteer is, even out now that she's graduated. I have no doubt that she's spreading positivity and love for volunteer down at Walter State and connecting with that community, so that those folks in that community know how great of an experience she had here, and having alumni back at any time. But thinking outside of athletics as a whole, just thinking of children, students, young adults, young teens, old teens, whatever it may be. Anytime there's a collective group of individuals believing in that child, you see things come out of their life that you would never thought was possible. So no matter what it would be, I think that's where we are as a community, as a whole Hawkins County. Really, if you look at the whole entire district and our programs, is we're a community of people, and we want as many of those people that we can have that are just being positive, encouraging, and really believing that this community, our feeder, our element, all the way down from our elementary to middle to high school, to our youth programs, whatever it may be, that what we're doing and we're doing collectively is going to make a positive impact on all of us, from teachers to wherever it may be. We can. That's why I got into this as a teacher, is so that I could make an impact on somebody else's life, that, just show one kid or several kids that somebody believes in you, that you can do these things. You can do these world record-breaking things. You can do these school record-breaking things. You can do these things first time evers. I mean, I don't know how many of those we had last year.
A lot.
We had so many first time ever, first time in so many years. And it continues to show that there's several things in life that you can do, but there's just a very few things in life that you've got to do really, really well to separate yourself. And that's going to be work ethic. That's going to have belief in yourself, and that's molded and developed through other people believing in you. And so wherever we can provide that, whether it be an athlete or a general population student, whatever it may be, within this community. That's what I task all of my coaching staff and all of you that may be listening in our communities. Is there's so much negativity out there that we continue to believe in these kids, no matter where they're from, what their backgrounds come from. That there are realistic goals that they can accomplish, and it's not just I'm a volunteer, I can't do that mindset. I'm starting to see that mindset is long gone, and I hope it stays gone forever for any kid involved in volunteer Churchill, Sigornsville.
If you can go anywhere else and do it, you can do it here too. And I think this group of kids, I consider myself lucky every day. I'm not going to lie and say that people hasn't told me that I'm a little bit crazy for taking on what all we do and being a part of it. But it's like I tell people whenever they do ask me, there is absolutely nothing that I have in my life that can replace the relationship and the pride I have watching these kids just grow. I mean, I'm seeing them come back. We have media day or we have these other things where it's been maybe 2 months since I've seen some of them, or maybe just 4 weeks, but they grow so fast. And I've heard that my whole life, but seeing them and they're developing into these young adults. And we have some great young adults that are coming out of volunteer as a whole. And like we was talking about, I help out with band when I can, or I try to support them and learn about what all they do and see that the hard work that they're putting in. And I'm watching those kids. I'm starting to build relationships with the kids in our broadcasting class, and I'm watching it grow and finding some kids that are slowly maybe picking up the love for interviewing or production or whatever it may be that they end up filling in the spots. And it's just, there is something special that goes through these hallways. And I know people are going to say that I might just be saying that to say it because I'm being recorded, but I'm not. I truly think that we have, with the coaches that we have here, with the athletes that we have here, with the band directors, with the band kids, with the choir, and every aspect of this school, I think once we realize how much we all truly have it made and we can use it to work together, I think it'll be I think this year will actually be a lot better than people are predicting it to be. I'm, for one, am excited. Like, I'm thinking about, we have, the new basketball coach that's come on for the girls program, or I'm thinking what all Coach Hill's planning on doing with wrestling, or seeing what all swim is going to be able to host this year. I know that meet that they hosted last year was insane.
Yep.
We went to that. That was our first swim meet that we went to, the Steve Wilmoth Invitational, and Coach Whalen was like, it's going to be a big one. And I'm like, okay, it's swim, right? Like, how big? No, it was quite literally big. But, I mean, we talk about these kids. I had swimmers who are, they know I have spoke with them in class, and they are aware that I'm learning, and they're perfectly fine with that. They are coming up to me, finding me in the stands, and helping me understand what's going on. Like, that's the kind of athletes that we have in this program. And I have no doubt that when I start that, when it comes to golf, and I'm trying to learn a little bit more of it, or if I start to go in more depth with the track and field statistics, or even as I learn more throughout everything in general, these kids are willing to, like, that's how much they love the sport. That's how much they love their school. And that's how much it takes me showing up to an event for them to be able to say, hey, you show up, I'll help you with the rest. I'll reach my hand out and help you too. And I just think that we're so lucky, because I've had the same, all of the coaches that we have right now, all the coaches that we had last year, the ones that we have now, I am so lucky to be doing this at this school, because I can't think of a better place to where I could build the relationships with these coaches, with you, with the administration here, just in general. But there will be nothing ever that tops me with these kids. They're great. There's no other word for them, I don't think.
It's even better when you can support that student in a valley situation where they're at the bottom of whatever it may be in their life that they've ever faced. And we do that sometimes with our athletics and sports and things. We will get to that valley where accomplishing all the things that we may wanted to in that time or that year or that game or whatever it may be. But there, like you said, if we will, I would say I'm going to task myself into staying in the positive moments a little bit more, because when you looked at it as a collective effort from the academic side, the 30 plus kids that we have that are scoring above ACT, 30 plus on the ACT.
The GPAs, they're holding crazy numbers. I mean, I remember Coach Peterson with baseball. I think I have no doubt that it's across the board this way, because this was obviously after. I know what swim had. There was. I think every program has had crazy numbers of 3.5 and above with GPAs.
Right. 21 of our 21 programs met the academic requirements to be distinguished teams at the TSSAA level, and that is to have a 3.5 or higher GPA, which means our teams have a letter average of a B or higher, and that's why, like I said, a lot of them are multi-sport athletes. A lot of them are taking dual enrollment college courses, or they've got other things, working jobs. We are in a community where a lot of our kids, they like to work and they like to have their own monies and to be able to do that. So, a lot of times we get caught up in the big one negative, but the hundreds and 200 and 300, whatever it may be, the hundreds of positives that we see each year, whether it be day to day, week to week, or month to month throughout a school year, is something special and something we need to treasure and hold on to for a lot longer amount of time. I just know, giving back like that, and when we get into these roles, and I'm talking myself prospectively, this is my viewpoint on it as a former coach for 11 years and then now AD for 4. For me to be able to give back out of my heart and see that turnover and come back to us in some way. My dad would say it's usually going to be 10, 12 years down the road before you ever see that impact. Thing about coaching is, outside of a trophy or a win or a championship, there's not immediate gratification always, and you don't really know the impact you're having on a student until 12, 13, 15 years later, when you see them doing this or you see them do that. And sometimes they'll come back and tell you, hey, you were the reason why, but in a lot of the moments you just kind of know by looking, seeing what they're doing with the family or seeing where their lives were before they got with you, and then how that changed and how they grew into a better human to be in. And those are the ones that I remember the most. I've had some championships myself, and we've won a lot and done a lot here, but again, it goes back to those where we have collectively saved a life, if you want to use the lack of a better term, and that's literal and figurative in a lot of ways. If everybody knew a lot of the stories within a program like that, I don't think there would ever be a time for negativity or to be down and out about anything when if you knew what the impact that a program or a school actually has on a student.
Absolutely. And I think, speaking of the no negativity, let's look at some positives. I know me and you talked the entire summer. I don't think some of us ever see a day off. I know some of these athletes never seen a day off, and we'll just rack ourselves up. I was right there with them. What all should we expect to see this year coming from? What all are some of the positives? I definitely see us going back and getting a few championships again. I think we're very capable. I see some new fun things to be added slowly but surely as we navigate those logistics. I'm trying to think there's a lot of good changes that I think are happening with the school right now.
The first thing most people are going to see in the changes are our coaching staffs. We have new staff members. We had a few turnovers this summer, some of it in assistant positions, some of it in head coaching positions, but most of the replacements that we've gotten have experience in coaching or come from coaching lineage where experience and high expectations was the demand. Just walking through each sport, baseball stayed pretty consistent. They have a lot of people, returning from last year's team with expectations. I know he had a good number out at, I think, upper 30s at his baseball camp this summer. So that program is continuing to grow, and it's starting to trickle down into the feeder program. Boys basketball returns, a lot of talent after a rebuilding year like we had last year after their state run. And we've, Coach Barnett, Greg Barnett, has returned to volunteer as a assistant coach, and he's also going to be working with Segornsville and helping that vertical alignment between the two programs. And excited to come back on staff for us as an experienced coach who's been a head coach, he coached at Daniel Boone, coached at Segornsville Middle School last few years, and returning to volunteer to help Coach Crawford on that staff. Girls basketball is, we got a new leader there, and James Howardson, who I call him a humble piece of pie, and get to meet him. He stays humble, and from the onset, the first couple of weeks that he's been here, it's been focused on the students and how he can shine the spotlight on them and not himself. And that's not the way that it's been. Not to say with Lake and Coach Smith and those that have been there previous. It's just he understood what volunteer basketball, girls basketball specifically, had meant historically, and he wanted to keep some of those traditions going, especially on the side of success and positivity within this program. So you're going to see a lot of energy, I think, in that, with having the new coaches and some of those with being younger coaches. Cheerleading, you've seen the advantage of having 3 staff members with a JV expanded, and 2 of those, Shelly Allen is our head coach there now, and she also coaches girls softball. So making connections between those programs is going to be something that she can bring to the table. Former cheerleader of hers when she was at Sullivan North has joined the staff, and Mary Elliott as a non-faculty person. So she's outside the building, and she has a perspective that's different than what we have from the inside looking out, and she's going to be a big beneficial help. And last was Lacey Cunningham, has also been added, and she has some UCA dance background stuff, choreography background that she's going to tie into with some of her cheers and dances. So you probably see a same but different product there. That program has been great for years and years of supporting and cheerleading supports without any of the other credit. A lot of times they don't get the credit. They're there in the background supporting at everything, and they're staying positive in every moment. And that is one program where, you consistently see that support no matter what the scoreboard is showing. Cross country, Daniel Green and Lauren Garrison, both are going to be taking over the running programs in track and field, and their youth energy, their want to and get after it mentality, and how it is being a young coach. You eager to get the bite in the bit to get out there and get after it, and that's what they want. Their goal is to grow the programs and you make them premier and continue the traditions left behind. Football, we have, like I said, interim Mike Castle is going to be there as the head football coach, which gives us some consistency in a very, if you want to call it that, turmoil time with the timing of Coach McMillan getting the job at Dobbins Bennett. And I appreciate Coach McMillan for the time served here, and understand that how much being with his daughters meant for him and wanting to go back. And I respect that. And, we communicated that is something that we would overcome, and we'd face that adversity by putting somebody in there that's been a constant, that's been consistent, that everybody looks up to, that we call Pops, and that father figure that we knew that's going to be, keeping the ship stable there. Again, I mentioned Jackie Strickler is going to be coming on staff out of softball. He has coached for years in the sport of football on the defense and offensive side. provide some more, again, just stable leadership there with discipline and a couple of different things that we feel that will bring, strength to our program. Coach Kincannon has come on board at the school officially, so he'll be working in the school during the day and not having to drive over after he gets off of work at an elementary or middle school. And I think that's going to pay dividends where he'll be around these players a lot more often and get to know them a lot better, build those relationships, and be able to kind of piggyback off of that of actually being here in the building as a counselor. Wes returns, who's also a dual sport coach for us, Coach Bowery, and Coach Sommers as well, helping with the boys basketball, and he'll be doing the football. Additionally, we're adding non-faculty staff. Most of you may know him as the voice of the Falcons, but
oh no,
he may be doing a double role this year as an offensive analyst and helping out with the football program. Josh Sawyer is going to be coming on, alumni.
No. I can.
And you can hear the grimaces there. She's going to be color commentary Hannah Sawyer coming up.
No, absolutely not. I love everything I do. I am not radio.
Yeah.
No.
So, and then looking maybe to add one more alumni to me name later once the official part of that stuff gets hashed out. But then we swing over to golf. Golf is ramped up. It gets started officially 2 weeks.
Wait, pause. I don't think you hit the interesting one that everybody was surprised that come up. Old Jeremy Jones.
You're right. Don't let me get too far ahead because I know.
That was an anticipated one. A lot of people were happy to see that one transition because just the way that he done Churchill Middle and set them up and then was able to come here and kind of provide that same leadership.
Jeremy Jones, I think he told me 41 years, maybe more. I may have that number wrong, in this community as an employee in the community, but also as a former Falcon, former player. He, continued the grand traditions that was Churchill High School and turned Churchill Middle School, and tough, tenacious football with discipline-oriented background, and Jeremy and a lot of the coaching staff at the middle school has been a big part of Friday nights up here for us a long time, behind the scenes, that a lot of people didn't know about as analysts, working in the booth, doing stats or looking at different formations and tendencies and things like that, which is what we want from our middle school program should be vertically aligned with our high school programs, and Jeremy was all about that with Bryant and Coach Fisher and all those guys there, and then Coach Roberts, who's no longer at Sigornsville but was there, and all the staff that we kind of work with at a day-to-day basis have collectively just, they knew the need for what's going on at the high school has to be reciprocated down at the middle school. So Jones is a different light it's a familiar name that people know, and people are trust Jeremy and know that he's going to have the best interests of the students, in mind when it comes. And it came with some excitement, and I think he's, still going to be able to help the Churchill Middle School community down there on certain nights and different things, and be willing to be an ear to hear and support those coaches that are taking over the helm for him down there. Again, back to golf. Coach Whalen has a region qualifying team that's returning, so that there's excitement building around that program.
Hey, I heard he's loaded this year, that they've got an absolute brick house over there at the golf course.
He's got a good chance there. A great group of students, most of all, and the numbers have upticked there. And girls golf was still growing that program. I think he said he may be up to 6 girls golfers at this time, and so that means that program is staying consistent and stable, and they are one of the programs that practice and do everything off campus, and it's one of those supporters that we appreciate very much is Bays Mountain Golf Course allowing us to practice and play over there, and Lucas being a part of the staff when he can, managing 2 different golf courses. I don't know how he has the time to do it, but Lucas Armstrong, former alumni, great golfers on that golf staff that continues to grow and grow. Our girls soccer staff changed at the head coach position. Again, we mentioned McGill earlier, being a Greenville alumni, played on club team in the Army. I think was the branch that he was in.
That's who I'm going to be to get to replace Josh on the radio. He also called radio for Army Navy.
He did. He has a great speaking voice, can sing. Sounded like an opera singer when he sung the national anthem last year for us. And I thought, yeah, you're on the gig. For a couple more.
You done signed up, buddy. We'll just put him. I'm going to have to steal him and use that as an opportunity.
Right. And then our boys soccer program in the spring, again, it was one of those busy times of year, and we really didn't formally get to introduce the assistant soccer coach there, and Jamie McKay, but she's our art teacher, but she's from Canada. She has a wealth of knowledge in hockey, ice hockey, but we don't offer that sport. So
I don't want us to. That personally,
I've worked with her a number of years at Rogersville Middle School. She actually coached. She was one of my assistant football coaches, and she plays semi-pro women's football right now, tackle, not flag.
God.
So she don't like people knowing that, I guess, or saying she's really quiet spoken. But
I didn't know that, but it doesn't surprise me. She definitely, she is. When I got to meet her and talk to her last year, she just gave that, like, she is willing to compete with the best of the best.
She is a fierce competitor when it comes to athletics, but she's also got that calm demeanor. Knows buys into her role really well, and stays in that lane and does a really good job with discipline and keeping people held accountable to things. And that's what we wanted to see within our soccer program. Of course, Jeff is a staple community guy here. Couldn't ask for anything there more out of Jeff than what he does already. He assists down at the middle school, coaching basketball, and has been, a big part of Volunteer High School boys and girls soccer since its, initial start some years ago, 7 or 8 years ago now, and he's had growing success there, and was very close to a district runner-up last year, and I think it's very feasible this year, and maybe hopefully a region home game this year.
Home, keyword there.
Yeah, we want a home game. We don't want to go to Granger. So, girls softball, we got Lefty back this year. Everybody's excited about having Addison back. Virginia Tech commit.
She's back at it.
She seems healthy, and some travel ball things. But you also got a big core nucleus around her that's been here that have started for almost 4 years, and outfielder Zeta, and just the catcher to really all their positions, even some pitchers that are going to have to serve as supporting roles coming in when Addison needs a break. All those are going to have. They've got experience behind her getting pitched last year while she was injured, and I think district, region, sub-state, state is not out of question there for them. Your standard is going to be the best that you think you can be, and I know all the coaches there. It's stayed consistent. Jackie Strickler's been. I think he's the longest.
Jackie Strickler ain't going nowhere anytime soon.
He's the longest tenured head coach here at Volunteer, and probably in Hawkins County, the entire county, if we got to looking at it. But
he's pushing, I think, like 550 wins too. I know he hit his 500 2 years ago.
Yep.
I don't know if we were doing our history search, and I got him going and finally got a number out of him before it was all said and done.
Also in the spring, boys tennis, girls tennis are manned by the Williams now, and that was a great addition last year. Where
they
you
done
see
phenomenal.
A lot of fundamental development last year, and a lot of kids were having fun. They were definitely not deterred by the win column, loss column, and the success therein. They all commended that they gotten better at the sport of tennis, and they thoroughly enjoyed being around and being with each other.
I think one thing to hit important with tennis too is they lost a lot of seniors, especially on the boys side. And I will say too, if you're still hanging out with us, that if you even have I would about guess that Coach Williams has about the same mindset of Coach Green does with cross country. If you can pick up a tennis racket and get the ball over the net, they can get you everything else. And a lot of them, they did say it was fun. I mean, with the few matches that I got to go to, they just looked like they were having a ball. I didn't know a thing that was going on, but I knew every one of them had a smile on their face, whether it was before, after, during. They really enjoyed themselves, and I really think, I want to say they've only got 2 or 3 coming back this year, if that. And so I think that would be important too, if anybody's wanting to try out some maybe non-physical contact sports, that's definitely one to look at as well.
It is. It's another one of those programs where previous experience should not be a deterrent. Coach Williams himself was a multi-sport athlete. That tennis was not his primary sport, and he was asked to come out, based on need of numbers, and it ended up being a sport that he's carried on with throughout his entire life. Number one, for his physical fitness. Like you said, no matter what you're doing in the sport of tennis, you're going to get yourself in physical shape. There's some cardio running, but again, we're looking for numbers just to get up, and it is one of those sports where there's opportunities to play immediately and to contribute immediately, and not one of those where you would have to buy your time to break the starting rotation. So we look forward to continuing the growth of the tennis program as an upward trajectory. We talked about track and field and the numbers there. We took a small hit in number of seniors. But track and field is another sport where everybody gets to compete. No matter who you are on the team, fastest or, not the fastest, you're going to get out there and compete. You're going to run in meets, and you're going to be a part of a program that is bigger than yourself and a family all the way around. And again, it does have that clock, and you know that you're getting better every day when you're competing against that. In the winter, we're going to have wrestling and girls wrestling, and there's opportunities for that. Our lone state qualifier last year in our wrestling program was Janae, and she qualified for the state and was, I think, 1 win away from all-state podium finish, and she'll be returning. And I'll just say, I've got 2 daughters, and I'm looking at wrestling very serious right now because it's a numbers game. And based on the numbers that are competing right now, there's not a lot of girls interested in wrestling, and the scholarships and the college opportunities that are available are abundant and excessive compared to some of your more traditional sports.
Especially with a coach like Cameron Hill, and he's made it public now. He's got his own baby girl on the way, and so I have no doubt that he's just going to continue to pour into that entire team. But I think he also understands, even with himself being a male wrestler when he was here at the high school, I think he got to witness both sides of that. Like, he sees how important it is to have these female wrestlers coming out and what it can really do to change that. And I think he's a great coach to have manning that spot, because he pours everything he has into that wrestling program, and I think it'll just continue to grow with that.
He has, and he's just continued to carry the torch that was left by the late great Coach Solomon and George Keene, who was the founders of wrestling in general in Hawkins County, that started at Churchill Middle School. You've seen, again, Cameron's one of those that was a alumni player and now come back coach, and again, you've seen his pouring of love into that sport, and just how you can just tell how much it means to him to carry that flag for those guys, most importantly, but also to help students similar to himself or other students that may not fit the bill of your traditional ball sports and just want an outlet. I will say, in competition, watching this sport, it was one of the sports I was least familiar with coming in as an athletic director, and it's one that I've been heavily impressed with the sportsmanship, the tenacity, the amount of time dedication to your body, to health, to eating right, to working out right, to weight management control. There's a lot of behind the scenes facets to the sport of wrestling than just getting out there and grappling with somebody and taking them to the ground. Ultimately the goal is not to get pinned on your shoulders or to pin someone on their shoulders, but collectively it's a sport that a lot of the life lessons that we want to be embedded into our children and to the students that volunteer can be found on a day-to-day basis in a wrestling program. If it's the singlet, the outfit that's deterring you from
you had to hit it. I mean,
from getting into that sport, which that had been commented as I was getting familiar with this sport. That there's shorts, you know. Same goes with any of our sports.
everybody's wearing the same thing.
Same goes with
I
any
mean,
of them, whether it be track, cross country, wrestling, volleyball. If you know the customary, what's trending right now is not something that you're comfortable with. You know, longer shorts and that sort of things are appropriate and allowed. So that way, that takes off that self-esteem, self-image type thing. And then, would not officially sanction, but it's a very important sport for us is our men's volleyball program. And the reason for that is that the area, Tusculum, offers scholarships now for men's volleyball.
I think someone else does too, didn't
Milligan has jumped on board with men's volleyball. So although it's not a TSSAA sanctioned sport, which I think will happen next year.
I think that's supposed to happen this the next TSSAA year.
You know, we did lose Coach Winger, who also taught choir in that, but thankfully his assistant for years is no other than Tina Evans, which is one of the matriarch.
The greatest.
One of the, Tina Evans is a name that people know and recognize and respect at all levels of volunteer, whether it be classroom, what she, track and field, volleyball for the years. I think some time spent maybe in girls basketball, boys basketball, wherever. Tina has always been a person that has always wanted to step in to fill a void so that the kids did not, that they didn't have setbacks or the program wasn't offered. And Tina Evans will be her head coach there, and a former alumni who is coaching girls volleyball at Churchill Middle School, Emma Bice, will be assisting her in that sport. So again, that's another alumni coaching connection that we love to see, and we're excited about the men's program. It is down in numbers from what I know right now.
Too. I think it was 10 or something. It was wild. A lot of those guys.
I think they have 4 returning players on roster, and we need 6 to play. So again, we need 2 more or 10 more to be interested in boys volleyball. Again, it's a growing collegiate sport that's picking up steam. There's monies available, and again, if I were looking at it, if my child was coming into high school and they wanted to do some kind of sport, but they wasn't in their traditional sports or hadn't really gotten into that, look at some of these what some people call smaller sports, because scholarship opportunities are prevalent because there's not as many people involved in those as you would say a football program with 40, 50 kids involved and over 1 million across the state playing that sport.
I think swim might be a good one to tag off of there too, and I'm still trying to learn the process of, I guess, fully understanding swim, and Lord knows the patience Coach Whalen has had with me and teaching me both golf and swim is a patience that most people probably wouldn't, but trying to understand because the way that it's Hawkins County swim, right, but volunteer has its own athletes that represents and competes, and while they're competing as a team, they're also qualifying for themselves. So the way I understand it, similar to like the cross country setup or maybe the track setup, to where it is a team sport, but they're also looking for those qualifications. And from what I've started following with, like, for instance, UT, or kind of paying attention to Olympics a little bit and stuff, like, it's another one of those that is a non-popular sport, I guess you would say, where there's a lot of fun to be had, there's a lot of opportunities, there's a lot of health benefits, mental benefits, just overall. And I think that he wouldn't mind to see a few more coming out to swim with him this year either. But I don't know if you want to kind of touch on that a minute too and kind of show what swim looks like for our school.
Well, swim is the most unique sport that is offered here at Volunteer. Again, it's one of those that if you look at the TSSAA, it's not going to be a sanctioned sport, and there's not a state championship as the TSSAA reflects it. But they are governed by a different swimming body, a different organization, and they still have state championships of their own within that. So at the middle school level, you're going to see it listed as Hawkins County Swim, and they all compete together, and they're one swim team. But the governing body at the high school level says that once we get to the high school level, you got to swim for your school. So Volunteer and Cherokee students, although they've competed together most of their lives on Hawkins County Swim, they're separated into Volunteer Cherokee as a team at that point. With that staff, you got the Whalings. It's a Whalen swim program, if you want to call it that. Yeah, Jimmy and
that
the
is
wife.
also, he's probably up there with Jackie in years.
Yeah.
Is how long he's been here coaching.
Actually, he's probably been here longer than Jackie because he was an actual student, a volunteer, graduated, come back, AD for years, coached before that, and then now still coaching, golf and swim. And his two daughters are, I think they're right there in the wheelhouse, waiting on that torch to be passed to them. They're helping out with the Hawkins County Swim. So you got 4 Whalens helping out, which means a whole bunch when it's a family, family thing going on. And our swim team has, we've had several state qualifiers over the last few years, in my 4 years being here. We still got some swimmers that are collegiately swimming, and there's big things on the rise there. Again, it's one of those sports where the more people you have on the team, the better the team score is, even though those individual scores may not be as fast as some other individuals. It's a lot of these, like wrestling and track and field, cross country, swim. They're sports where you're going to get points based on where your people finish throughout the entire meet. So anytime you have a blank or lack of a participant in a single meet or a weight class, if you're talking about wrestling, then the team don't get points for that one. It's a forfeit, basically. And so a lot of times having a swimmer that maybe last as a swimmer in time gives you 2 points for finishing 8th place in a meet. That could be the difference in a championship for the entire team. So, you as an individual are bigger. You're bigger on those teams as a part of the team as you would some of these other individual sports where the score is what it is as a team overall. And then
you don't realize how many sports and things that we have going on here until you sit here and you actually go through and you cover it. And I think people like, oh, yeah, they've got an athletic program. But I'm sitting here and I'm like, how are we not more tired?
Yeah.
How are we?
Yeah, we just do it. We just lift it and carry it on by a greater power than ourselves a lot of the times. And like I said earlier, I think when we started this, I think breaking it down sanction-wise, unsanctioned together, I think there's 14 or 15 men's sports and 14 or 15 women's sports, and that's varsity. When you
that
start,
ain't even included the JV
not
and
included
freshmen.
JV and those that have freshmen. I think it's 30s, mid-30s is what we have total programs here, and the expectation is
they say we ain't got nothing going on here at Volunteer, but
we got a lot
I think we
going
got
on.
30 programs, and that's not even including because they've got so much new stuff happening with the SGA. I know band is huge. They've got broadcasting going on. Lord knows there's a amount of CTE programs, and there's a lot happening here, and I think that I don't know. I think there's just something special in the air this year that we're going to see happen with this school and the trajectory that we're headed for. So
there is. There's a lot of positivity in the air, and it speaks for itself. When your athletics can start off the year in a positive light, it seems like the school traditionally, and each school that I've been to, it just seems like the school year. And then last year was with the volleyball, their big push there, and it got everybody amped up and excited, and it carried the girls basketball, and it carried the baseball, and everybody helping everybody, band winning, choir winning, state championships, and having first places there. And our robotics team's doing really well. Our academic team's doing
Had
really
a lot
well.
of people at the CTE.
Skills USA's,
yes, there was a lot
national and state champions, and some of those are athletes. I'm thinking back to Caitlin Pearson there. She was a multi-sport athlete for us, and then she goes down after softball season in the summer and finishes 4th national in the agri-science competition. And it's amazing to see what young people are doing, and there's not enough hours a day or pen and paper and newspaper journalists to cover it all. So, when we get an opportunity like this to put a spotlight on a few of them, it's not to leave out anybody. If I have, I apologize today. I appreciate
we'll be here for
everyone.
12 hours if we're hitting on everybody.
So, and I appreciate, most of all, I guess, for tying this all up, the community itself, Churchill and Sigornsville, just Hawkins County in general, the clubs, the band, the sports, the faculty, the volunteers, my gate workers, my parents. I mean, it's a collective effort, and one's success is everyone's success, and one's failure is everyone's failure. And we couldn't do this without having a collective of people that are doing a lot of work, without getting any credit at all. And those are the people that I want to thank tremendously today. And I wish that my job didn't have a title to it, and I was just somebody that nobody really knew, because that's what I wanted to be, is doing a lot of different things and for the kids. But the ultimate glory is going to be the blessings that I receive for my kids as they get older. So it's a big thank you to all of the volunteers, parents, anybody, in whatever way, whether it's a kind word or it's labor, money, whatever it may be. If you are helping a student athlete, any students at Volunteer High School in Hawkins County, just in general in life, we thank you. I greatly appreciate you, just as a fellow community member. Thank you for helping kids. Continue to keep that as our focus, and I think we'll have a great school year. We'll have a great community to live in, and as a country as a whole, we can get better.
I absolutely think you're right, and I'm so thankful that we were finally able to squeeze some of your very busy time. Please apologize to Miss Bailey for me, because I know she's going to get me for taking up some more of your time that you could be spending at home getting ready for the busyness of the school year. I do want to take a few minutes to kind of hit on some things that we will have happening this week. The Touchdown Club, which is the booster club for football, is working heavily to try to get everything prepared for the football season this year. We do have the luxury of having a little bit of extra time, but the last meeting, most likely before any home game, will be tomorrow. I guess that's Tuesday, at 6 p.m. There is a parent meeting with Coach Castle, and then immediately following will be the Touchdown Club meeting. And then there is 2 cleanup days coming on it'll be Saturday, July the 27th from 8 to 12 at the football stadium here at Volunteer, and then Saturday, August the 3rd from about 8 to 12, just to kind of pick up whatever was left from this first day. And then I think the high school will have their back to school day. Is that August 1st? That one's coming up, I believe. I'm trying to pull it up here quickly they'll have the back to school day on I think it's August 1st. We'll have it posted on our Facebook, and then I know the high school will have it posted on theirs, just to kind of welcome in our returning students, our new students, and get them acclimated with the beginning start of the year. And then school starts back August 5th with a half day. So I think we're all eager and ready to get the ball rolling with that. So with that being said, I thank you again for coming on and joining us. And
we thank you. Thank everybody out there listening as well.
Yes, absolutely. Well, that'll be it for today, and go Falcons.